So good evening. Let's go to the question paper analysis of UGC NET English, December 2021, Shift 1. And this analysis is presented by Professor Academy, Chennai. And today we are going to analyze questions from 36 to 40. So 36, in an apology for poetry, Sidney discusses the didactic function of poetry by comparing it to philosophy and dash. Option A, aesthetics, B, ethics, C, history, D, religion. So this is a kind of a straightforward question. So let's go to the answer. Answer is C, history. So if we study an apology for poetry by Sidney, Sidney compares poetry, philosophy, and history, and also poets, philosophers, and historians. For instance, Sidney says, the philosopher gives the percept, P-E or C-E-P-T. Percept, it's a kind of a perception or a kind of a general notion or general principles. But the problem with the philosophers, their arguments are thorny, very raw and so misty to be conceived. It's so vague. Sometimes we don't know what they are saying. And the knowledge they try to put across is abstract and general. So we find difficulty in understanding what they try to say. On the other hand, we have historians. So the historian gives the perfect example from the past, right? But the historian is tied to the particular truth of things, not a general idea, only to a particular problem or particular context in a particular past context, right? So his examples or the historian's examples don't lead to the necessary consequence. So that's a drawback of historians. But the poets are peerless. Why? Because they combine both philosophers' percept and historians' example. So a peerless poet couples the general notion with a particular example. So he is superior to both philosopher and the historian. And next, Sidney says, of these three, poet is the monarch. Why? Poet is like the king. Why? Because the philosopher teaches, well, good, but obscurely, not very clear. There's a kind of a mystery, in what the philosopher tries to teach. On the other hand, the poet is the food for the tenderest stomach. Even a common, even common people can understand what the poet tries to convey. That's why Sidney says the poet is the right popular philosopher. Popular in the sense, one who is understood by common people. So he is called the popular philosopher. For example, Aesop's tales, all these stories, Aesop is a kind of a poet here. For instance, anyone can understand the story involving animals. So we know this famous story, the story of the tortoise winning the race, defeating the rabbit, right? Anyone can understand this story. So that's why poets are popular philosophers. Then the historian, as we discussed earlier, is captive, tied to the truth of a foolish world. He has to rely on whatever happens or what has happened in this world. So he doesn't create something new. He doesn't create an ideal world for the world to lead or to follow. So here, the poet excels history. The poet not only talks about the history of the past, but the poet also creates a kind of a utopia for people to imitate and make this world a better world. So we can also move forward with poets, but with historians, we are stuck with history. So that's the argument by Sidney. We'll go to the next question. Question number 37. What 19th century philosophical term of Russian origin did Friedrich Nietzsche use to describe the disintegration of traditional morality in Western society? Option A, absolutism, B, anarchism, C, cynicism, D, nihilism. So we have four terms, and there is a clue before we choose your answer. There's a clue, Russian origin. What sounds Russian to you? Absolutism, anarchism, cynicism, or nihilism? At least you can go for that. Or disintegration of traditional morality. Do you think absolutism has something with morality or challenging morality? Of course, anarchism has something to do with cynicism, not necessarily, or nihilism, right? Let's go to the answer. Answer is D, nihilism. So nihilism is a kind of a philosophy. What is this philosophy is about? Nihilism, when you say nihilism, this philosophy says, or it is associated with extreme pessimism and skepticism. Simply put, you doubt everything. We doubt all the traditional values or traditional or social institutions. They don't believe, a nihilist or nihilism says, don't believe in marriage or family or political or politics, anything. They always doubt any tradition or any traditional values. So that is the basics of nihilism. The word comes from Latin nihil, N-I-H-I-L, which means nothing. So they don't believe in anything. Nihilists, they do not believe in anything. So that is nihilism. So simply put, the belief traditional values are baseless. There is no base concrete to that. Then human existence is meaningless. So when you think of this statement, I hope you're reminded of another famous philosophy, existential philosophy, which also says human existence is meaningless. So you can compare and contrast nihilism and existentialism, both philosophies. And this term was popularized by this Russian novelist, Ivan Turgenev, Turgenev, Turgenev. Ivan Turgenev, he is known for his famous book, Fathers and Sons. So in this book, this term was used in such a way, it was popularized because of this work. So who is a nihilist? A nihilist is a person who doubts or questions all traditional values and institutions. So here is here are some dialogue from this novel, Fathers and Sons, by Ivan Turgenev. So here is a person, Pavel, who asks, to confine ourselves to abuse, and that is called nihilism. And that is called nihilism. So we have this main character, Arkady, in this novel, A-R-K-A-D-Y, and his friend, Basarov, B-A-Z-A-R-O-V. So Basarov idea, he has subscribed himself to this philosophy, nihilism. And this philosophy influenced his friend, Arkady. These are the two major characters in this novel. So this is how they describe nihilism, to confine yourself to abuse traditional values and systems. And Arkady says, yes, we shall destroy because we are a force. We are a force to question everything and anything. So this is nihilism. Next, let's go for question 38. Which of these constitutes the only extant trilogy from ancient Greek tragedy? So think of ancient Greek tragedy and tragedians, and you have to find out the trilogy, three works coming together. Option A, Agamemnon. Option A involves three: Agamemnon, Choreophory, or the Eumenides. B, Agamemnon, Orestes, the Eumenides. C, King Oedipus, Oedipus at Colonus, Antigone. Option D, King Oedipus, Orestes, Antigone. So at least try to eliminate. So if you think of King Oedipus, so what comes to your mind? Sophocles. Sophocles was known for three major plays. So here we have C and D. So at least you can eliminate one, because if it has, in the option C, we have King Oedipus, Oedipus at Colonus, Antigone. But in D, we have something new here, Orestes. So that's a doubt. Was it written by Sophocles? So if we eliminate D, at least we can go for A, B, and C. We can eliminate one. Again, we have this problem. B, we have Agamemnon, Orestes, and the Eumenides. So you have to make a choice, a kind of a gut, you have to go with this gut feeling. Either it's A or C, or B or D. So let's choose one. Answer is A, Agamemnon, Choreophory, or the Eumenides, 3. So Now that we have got a question from ancient Greek literature, what we have to do, at least we have to check out some of the Greek tragedians and their works. So we have Aeschylus, Aeschylus. Aeschylus is considered the father of Greek tragedy. So next time, who knows, they may ask this question: who is considered the father of Greek tragedy? We have Aeschylus, and one of his famous work, Prometheus Bound. And this inspired a lot of writers. Even Shelley came up with Prometheus Unbound, and his wife Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein, whose subtitle Prometheus, Modern Prometheus. So we can think of this, and this is the first trilogy, the Oresteia trilogy, Oresteia, Oresteia trilogy. So we have three works: Agamemnon, Libation Bearers. So this is the English translation. What we got is the original, Greek words. So libation bearers originally in Greek means choreophori, Choephoroi. So sometimes this may, you may get confused. Okay, is it libation bearers or choreophori? Both are one and the same. Then you have Eumenides, Eumenides. So this is the famous trilogy, Oresteia trilogy. Then let's go for Sophocles, one of the famous Greek tragedians. His famous work plays, Theban plays. They are set in Thebes, Athens, in Greek. So we have in Greece, we have Antigone, then Oedipus Rex. Rex refers to king, Oedipus the king, then Oedipus at Colonus. And once, I think a few years ago, question came from this, this Theban place. They asked, the blind prophet Tiresias comes in which of the two Theban plays? So is it Antigone and Oedipus Rex, or Antigone and Oedipus and Colonus? They confused with this option. This was the answer. Tiresias comes in two plays, Antigone and Oedipus Rex. So we already got question from this place, Theban place, Antigone, Oedipus Rex, and Oedipus at Colonus. Then let's go to another Greek tragedian, Euripides. So Euripides was known for his plays based on women. So we have Medea, Hippolytus, Hecuba, Suppliants, then Electra, Helen, and also the Trojan women. Then we have three major tragedians here. So Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides. So when we think of Greek playwrights, then we have Aristophanes, who is considered the father of Greek comedy. So we have Aeschylus tragedy, Aristophanes comedy. So Aristophanes was known for a lot of his works. Here we have two works, The Clouds. Why this work? Because in Clouds, he attacks Socrates. Socrates was a sophist, Sophist. Who was a sophist? A teacher, a kind of a nomadic teacher, a teacher who goes around, and he's hired by wealthy people to teach their children. But Socrates was not a typical sophist, because Socrates not just allowed wealthy people to be to hire him and to teach only the wealthy children. He just wandered the streets of Greece, and he taught anyone, and he taught them how to question the society and the given morals, and that's how he was portrayed in this work. But here Aristophanes makes fun of Socrates in this work. That's why this work is famous, The Clouds. Then we have Frogs. It's an interesting work where we have this god of drama, Greek drama, Dionysius, who is also the god of wine. So he goes to hell. Why? Because to bring back at least one of the Greek tragedians, Euripides. But once he goes there, he is no longer interested in Euripides, but he admires Aeschylus more. So he brings back Aeschylus to earth. So again, we know that Aeschylus was respected by everyone, including Aristophanes. Then let's go to question number 39. Arrange the following characters in their chronological sequence of appearance. So we have 4 characters given. We have capital A, Mirabell, B, Shylock, C, Jimmy Potter, D, Sir Epicure Mammon. Then we have 4 options. Option A, so this is the order, D, B, A, C. In the sense, Sir Epicure Mammon, Shylock, Mirabell, Jimmy Potter. Or option B, so this is the order, B, D, A, C. Then let's go for option C, B, D, C, A. Then option D, D, B, C, A. So before you go to the options, you have to ask yourself one thing. What do you think should be the first character? You can easily recognize Shylock, Shakespeare's character. And other characters, do you think they might have come before it? So if what which characters created by university wits could come first? But I don't think. Do you think, is there a character created by university wits, Marlowe or Kidd? If there is no, then you can begin with the Shylock. So if you think Shylock should be the first one in this chronological order, then you can easily eliminate 2 options. You can eliminate option A, which begins with D, and option D, which also begins with D, in the sense Sir Epicure Mammon. Then you are left with the 2 options, option B and C. Then you have to ask one more question. Who could be the kind of a modern character of these 4? Is it Mirabell, Shylock? Of course, Shylock is the beginning. We can eliminate. So Jimmy Potter or Sir Epicure Mammon. So if you think one of the person should come last, then you can go for the option. Okay, let's go to the answer. Answer is B. In the sense, Shylock, Sir Epicure Mammon, Mirabell, then Jimmy Potter. Why Jimmy Potter? Jimmy Potter is a modern character, angry young man. Okay, so let's look at these characters. So we have Shylock. Shylock comes in Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice. When we think of Shylock, of course, he asked for a pound of flesh from the Merchant of Venice. And one of his famous soliloquies, or kind of speech, not a soliloquy, a speech. Shylock asked, I am a Jew. If you prick us, do we not bleed? If you tickle us, do we not laugh? If you poison us, do we not die? And if you wrong us, shall we not revenge? So he talks about his perspective, how he was marginalized during Elizabethan age. And if you are interested, you can read this novel by Howard Jacobson, British writer, British novelist, contemporary novelist. And this is a novel. It's a retelling of The Merchant of Venice. Name of the novel, Shylock is My Name. So Shylock is My Name is a novel, a retelling of Shakespeare's play by Howard Jacobson. So you can check out this novel. Sometimes you may get questions like this, a kind of a retelling. So if you are interested in retelling, you can also work on this novel. Then let's go to the next character. Sir Epicure Mammon comes in Ben Jonson's The Alchemist. So Epicure Mammon, the word itself is a kind of a self-explanatory. Epicure, based on Epicurus, Greek philosopher. What was that philosophy? Epicurean, if you say someone is an Epicurean, one who indulges in pleasure all the time. Simple philosophy, life is to enjoy, not to work. Enjoy this life to the core. So that is this Epicurean philosophy. And the character is aptly named, is a kind of an aptronym, aptly named, Sir Epicure Mammon. So in this play, Epicure Mammon is a friend of Surly, and he was made a fool by Subtle, S-U-B-D-L-E. And Mammon actually invests a lot of money in the project alchemy, and he wants to get that philosopher's stone and want to change everything into gold. So kind of an Epicurean wants to get money, enjoy life. So this is what he says. This night I will change all that is metal in my house to gold. And early in the morning will I send to all the plumbers and the pewterers to buy their tin and lead up. So he wants to change everything into gold and enjoy life, but he was cheated. Then we have Mirabell. So Mirabell is a character, comes in William Concreve's play, The Way of the World. So in this work, we have this pair of lovers. We have Mirabell and Millamant. And one of the famous lines often quoted from this work is this, uttered by Mirabell on about his love for Millamant. I like her with all her faults, nay, like her for her faults. Her follies are so natural, are so artful that they become her. So, so this is Mirabell on Millamant. So you can remember this. Then let's go for the next work, Jimmy Porter. So we have Jimmy Porter, an angry young man. There was this literary movement called Angry Young Men. In the 1950s, simply put, a group of British writers known for their rebellious attitude towards society, and they represented that attitude in their works. So we have these writers, Kingsley Amis, John Osborne, John Braine, B-R-A-I-N-E, Alan Sillitoe. We have Kingsley Amis' novel, Lucky Jim, 1954, and the protagonist of this work, we have Jim Dixon, who is an angry young man. Similar way, we have John Osborne's play, Look Back in Anger, 1956. We have Jimmy Porter, the hero. Then we have John Braine's work, Room at the Top, 1957. So we have this major character, Joe Lambton. Then we have the short story, very famous short story by Alan Sillitoe, S-I-L-L-E-T-O-E, The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, 1959. We have the major character, Smith. So sometimes they may also ask you to arrange works in chronological order. So you have to pay attention to the years, especially Look Back in Anger, 1956. And the name actually was derived from an autobiography written by Leslie Paul. Name of the autobiography, Angry Young Man. So they changed into a plural. Man become men. So Angry Young Men. So the title was taken from, or the name of the movement was taken from this autobiography, supposedly. We are not so sure, but this should be the work. Leslie Paul's Angry Young Man. Next, we come to the last question of today's class, question number 40. Arrange the following lines of poetry in their chronological sequence. So what we see that we get a lot of chronological sequence, but not all are tough. So if you know, so sometimes they ask based on characters, based on works, sometimes based on poetic lines. So we have 4 lines here, poetic lines. So we have capital A, an aged man is but a paltry thing. B, the world is too much with us. C, daddy, I have had to kill you. D, after great pain, a formal feeling comes. Okay. Before we go to the options, at least try to recognize, because here at least 2 lines are from modern poetry and other 2 bit back. Okay. So option A, this is the order, B, D, A, C, then option B, order B, D, C, A, then option C, D, B, A, C, then option D, D, B, C, A. So what you have to do, so even if you don't know, just look at the options. 2 options end with C, daddy, I have had to kill you. And 2 options end with A, an aged man is but a paltry thing. So what we understand, both are modern. I mean, they come towards the 19th century or 20th century. And other 2, we have B and A. One of this comes in the beginning. So we have to go for some choice here, and we have to go for it. This is it is tough. Sometimes chronological. At least if daddy was by Sylvia Plath, then we can make a choice. Okay, if it is Sylvia Plath, shall we go for A or C? Because both ends with a C. If you think that should be the last one, or if you think an aged man is but a paltry thing, again modernist poet, W.B. Yeats, then you should go for B and D. So if you at least go for one, then you're left with 50-50. Then let's go to the answer. Answer is A, B, D, A, C. In the sense, world is too much with us. Then after great pain, a formal feeling comes. Then A, an aged man is but a paltry thing. Then comes C, daddy, I have had to kill you. So Sylvia Plath comes last. So at least if you went for that, with your instinct, then either you'd have chosen A or C, right? So let's see. The World is Too Much With Us is a poem by the Romantic poet Wordsworth. The world is too much with us, late and soon, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. Little we see in nature that is ours. We have given our hearts away, a sordid boon. So it's a very simple poem which says, we have to run with this world. So once we, start our day, we have no time, to look at nature and appreciate the gift given by God to us. So we just run again and again and again like a machine. So we do not appreciate nature. So the world is too much with us. So we are so into the world, so much into the world, everyday world, we forget nature. So that's the poem. Then we have this poem, After Great Pain, a Formal Feeling Comes, by Emily Dickinson, American poet. After great pain, a formal feeling comes. The nerves sit ceremonious like tombs. The stiff heart questions, was it he that bore? And yesterday or centuries before? So it talks about a kind of a great pain or a kind of a disappointment that we come across in life. So after meeting with this, meeting with a disaster, what happens? We feel numb. Our feeling, we can't feel anything at all. A kind of a formal feeling comes, a kind of a numbness, and our nerves, sit tight, sit ceremonious like tombs. We can't feel anything at all now, like a dead body we feel, and stiff heart questions, was it he that bore? So we think of the pain bore by Jesus Christ, and we try to relate his pain, relate our pain with his pain, and we try to think, was it yesterday or centuries before? All right. So this is how it's a kind of a rhetoric question. Yes, centuries before. Then next, an aged man is but a paltry thing, from Aids Sailing to Byzantium. So this is a very famous image when it comes to modern poetry. An aged man is but a paltry thing, a tattered coat upon a stick. So an aged man is treated like a scarecrow in the material world. So the aged man leaves this world and sails to Byzantium. So this is the poem. So we know this poem where we have a speaker who is on the way to Byzantium. So that's the title, Sailing to Byzantium. So he is looking back at the material world and he is looking forward to the spiritual world. So that's the poem. Then we come to the last one, Daddy, I Have Had to Kill You. This is from the confessional poet, American poet Sylvia Plath's Daddy. Very famous poem in which she talks about the pain she had been going through after the death of her father, who died when she was very young. So the death of her father had been tormenting her, had been shadowing her. You stand at the blackboard, Daddy, in the picture I have of you. So that's the only picture she has of her father, and she remembers him standing at the board, a kind of a professor his father was. Then, like a vampire, he haunts her. So towards the end of the poem, she says, I have to get rid of you because you have been haunting me all my life. So since you're a vampire, what I have to do? I have to drive a stake into your fat black heart, and the villagers never liked you. So it's a kind of invoking a tradition where a vampire is killed by the villagers who didn't like him, like the vampire. After the death of the vampire, they danced and enjoyed. So that's the description we have here. They are dancing and stamping on you. They always knew it was you. Daddy, Daddy, you bastard, I'm through. So she says, I have to overcome this sadness. I have to move on in my life. Okay, so with this, we finish today's class. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to this channel for further updates, and you can also contact Professor Academy if you want to join the course for UGC NET and SET exams, English, and also other courses. Thank you.